Hapon po sa lahat. We also bring greetings from Faith Baptist International Church of Tel Aviv. Have been in the ministry for more than 50 years, and I never had a dream that one day Israel will be our third home. Okay. Thank the Lord that the Lord has allowed us to start to work in Israel. If I don't know if you realize that the first church was first established in Jerusalem, and we are going back to that first church kasi nawala yung unang church doon. So we're trying to revive that, and we thank the Lord that the Lord has blessed so far, no? For 3 years now. Actually, since the time we had an official agreement with the group to pick up the group as our extension work, missionary work, ay only 2 years lang ang nagdaan po. But they trying to review or trace back their history from the time we went to Israel for the first time, trying to find out whether there is the possibility of really starting a work in Israel. But it was after 1 year that we went back to Israel, and officially we had a covenant with them that we begin a missionary work in Tel Aviv. Okay? At so that if you count their history during that time, this will only be their second anniversary. And thank the Lord that after 2 years, I think you deserve to know what is going on as far as the work is concerned, since you are the one involved directly, no, sa extension work doon sa Israel. That when we first signed the agreement or the covenant with them, there were only 8 people who signed the covenant, and that was 2 years ago. Now after 2 years, nung bumalik po kami during the first service, I believe that they already are having 2 services, one on Friday night and also one on Saturday night. And if you gather them as one group, the 2 services, I believe that umaabot na sila ng more than 50. Yeah. Because the first Friday we were there, during the first survey, during the service on a Friday night, ay halos mas marami pa dito sila. And we were excited about that. Thank the Lord that the Lord is really working through our missionary work in Israel, Tel Aviv. No? Let's pray for Pastor Ray, kasi he is not a full-time pastor. He works from Sunday up to Friday, no? Busy siya, no? Sometimes he would stay overnight doon sa kanyang inaalagaan, and it's hard for him to prepare for the 2 services, no? So it's really hard on the part of Pastor Ray, but we thank the Lord because of his commitment to the work. He is a trusted person, really. Mapagkakatawalan siya sa gawain po ng Panginoon. He has only one liability, and I don't know how he could fill up that liability. He is single. And he is now 45 years old. Baka mayroon dyan gusto na. Okay. So thank the Lord for that. Huh? Really exciting. And I think it was one day, during our stay there, ay nagkaroon ng problema sa Tel Aviv because yung other side was firing missiles, no? And on our side, on our part, it was scary but exciting. Si Mrs. Ed Pao si Pastor Ray, when there was the Shurin, ay tumago siya sa hagdan. Kami naman lumabas para tignan yung missiles. At sabi ko, exciting but scary. Okay. But thank the Lord that the Lord has kept us safe all throughout our stay in Tel Aviv. No? Okay, I don't know if you realize that if you go to the US this coming week, the smoke and the smell of turkey will be up in the air. Okay. Because this coming week they will be again celebrating their Thanksgiving, big celebration as far as the US is concerned. No? And turkey is more of a memorial symbol of that celebration. And there will be a big demand of turkey in America this week. Siguro millions of kawawa na mga babo sa Amerika itong week nito. But it's Thanksgiving celebration. And if you will try to trace back the history of this, it all started with the Pilgrims. Or they are sometimes called the Puritans, coming from England, no? Looking for a new land where they could exercise their freedom of worship because they were not allowed in England during that time. So they tried to travel and found a new land. That's why ang Amerika ay tinawag nilang New England before. No? And they landed in Massachusetts. And when they landed on the ground, first thing that they did was to celebrate Thanksgiving celebration. Okay? And if you look into the background of that, itong mga pilgrims ito ay sila po yung forerunners natin, the Baptists. They are our forefathers. So that when you think of the celebration of Thanksgiving in America, it's actually the heritage of the Baptists. Tayo nagsimula nun. And it was in 1623 when Governor Bradford made a proclamation that ang exact date niya po ay on November 29, 1623, he said, all ye pilgrims, he said, must meet in your house to listen to your pastor and to render thanksgiving to God for all His benefits. That was his proclamation. And then from one president to another president, they would pick up that proclamation. And Thanksgiving has become a very special holiday. In fact, bigger holiday than Christmas holiday. But if you look into the proclamation, beloved, concerning their thanksgiving to the Almighty God, it is all because of all His benefits towards them. Okay? Well, when we think of all the benefits, of course, it is but proper on our side, on our part, no? To render thanksgiving after we have been recipients of all the benefits. In fact, it was David who said, I don't know if you remember, at one time, I think it was last year when I preached on Psalms 103, beginning from verse 1 and verse 3, where David said, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all His benefits. At maalala niyo yung title ng message ko noon, no? Remember not to forget. Forget not all His benefits. However, when you think of our benefits, and then it is but proper on our side, on our part, to render thanksgiving to the God who has bestowed all those benefits, it is but fitting that we should really give Him thanks. Okay? In fact, if we don't, we can be declared as persona non grata. Because of all the benefits. However, I don't know if you have come to realize that most of our thanksgiving, or maybe I would dare to say 98% of our thanksgiving would center around that. Okay? That we are on the receiving end of the benefits, so that as a result of that, we need to respond in gratitude. Okay? But this afternoon, I would like to speak about as a record of thanksgiving that does not center on the receiving end, but on the giving end. In other words, there's a record in the Bible where you have a celebration of thanksgiving, but it was not done on account of the blessings bestowed upon the people. But it is on account of the people giving to God. It's not God giving, so that the people become the receiving end. This record will show us that Thanksgiving celebration is done, okay, by the people, not as the receiving end, but as the giving end. And I would like to call your attention to the book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 29. By the way, I would like to thank you for having dedicated part of your giving to build God's sanctuary in Antipolo. I'll be talking about that later on. No? Make a promotion. Okay. But there is a record in as recorded in chapter 1 Chronicles chapter 29, where there is an assembly of God's people through the leadership of King David, where they express their gratitude to God, not because of blessings received, but because of something that they have given to the Lord. Okay, let us begin reading, beginning from verse 10 up to wala tayong time to finish the entire chapter, but I'll be trying to make a summary of this. But I would like us to read, beginning from verse 10. It says, therefore David blessed the Lord before all the assembly, and David said, so here is what he said about that thanksgiving. No? Now, I don't know if you noticed that the word the word David used here is the word blessed also. The same word that he used in Psalms 103 verses 1 and 2. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Okay? But in that verse, he was referring to all the blessings bestowed upon him and God's people. But in this case, he is using the same word but no longer on a receiving end, but on a giving end. Okay? And then, tingnan niyo yung let's jump on verse 14 to make verse 13, beginning again from verse 13. Therefore, he said, now therefore, our God, we give you thanks and praise your glorious name. Then look at verse 14. For who am I and who are my people that we should be able to offer so willingly as this? For all things come from you, and of your own we have given you. So here is a record, beloved, of a thanksgiving ceremony done by a great assembly of people headed by David the king. And they're trying to express their gratitude to God, not on account of God's blessings upon them, but on account of what they have what? Offered to the Lord. Okay? And I don't know if, as I mentioned, 98% of all our thanksgiving would revolve around us, the receiving end. And that's but natural for us to talagang magpasalamat tayo because of all the benefits. And when you think of the benefits, there is so much to tell. But how many times na tayo'y nagpasalamat sa Diyos, Lord, I thank you because I am able to give to you. This much. Kasi malaki itong ano. In fact, when David mentioned about verse 14, sabi niya, that we should be able to offer so willingly as this. Because after the call was given to the people, no, to offer, ay napakadami pong offerings. So that when David asked that question, he said, who am I and who are my people? In other words, this is not a question of parang nagmamalaki siya na, Lord, look at our offerings. That was not the case. But when he mentioned this, nung tinanong po niya to ay, it's a question of humility. Trying to express his thanksgiving to God that God is able to work through them and in them. That on that account, he said, we have been able to offer to you such a big offering. Kasi kung inyong basahin po previous to this, the entire chapter of 29, talagang ano yun, napakalaki pong offerings. In fact, siguro sabi ni David, pagkatapos ng after the call for the people to give, siguro sabi niya, okay, it's enough. That's enough. So much. And so, he called the assembly together and he said, let's celebrate. Let's thank the Lord for this. Okay? Now, how did this happen? Paano ba nangyari ito na a record of God's people from their hearts giving thanks to God, not on account of what they have received, but on account of what they have given to the Lord. Okay? Well, let's tingnan natin po ang background nito. How did this happen? No? Now, first of all, if you look at the entire record of chapter 29, first, there was a glorious cause to pursue. And the cause is identified by David. He said, we are going to build a house. Okay? And he identified it as the house of God. the house of my God. The house of God. There are, if you look at the entire chapter of 29, there is always the mention of the house of God. And he tried to personalize that. It is the house of my God, he said. And he was trying to call the entire assembly. He said, let's build the house. But if you look into the background of this project during that time, beloved, it was David who envisioned this. When he was, one time, he was sitting in his, on his throne, in his palace, na napakagandang palasyo. I don't know if you went there in Jerusalem. And he looked outside, and yung covenant ng Panginoon ay was staying in a tent. And he was convicted. He said, how come I live in a palace and my God is staying in a tent? So that he said, I am going to build a house for my God. And when God learned this from David, it was in his heart. David, God talked to him. He said, David, I don't know if you realize that I do not dwell in a house made of human hands. But anyway, he said, since this is in your heart to build a house for me, he said, I am well pleased. However, he said, I will not allow you to build it because madugo yung iyong kamay. But he said, I will allow your son to build it. And it was Solomon who started the project. But it originated from the heart of David. Okay? And then he shared this to the people. He said, let's build the house of God. And this was the first temple of Jerusalem. And on account of that glorious project or glorious cause during that time, beloved, God's people responded abundantly, liberally, wholeheartedly, willingly. Okay? And I believe this is always the case. I have observed in my many years of pastoral work that money is not a problem in God's work. Amen. And I'll tell you why it's not a problem. Because it's all there. Yes. Okay? Money is not a problem. As long as there is a glorious cause to support, God's people would always respond. Amen. Basta lang nila we have experienced that in Antipolo when we started constructing the high school department. By the way, I told the church, I said that in the early 90s, when we were constructing the 4-story building, in Antipolo, sabi ko sa kanila, FFBC was the first one to build the 4-story building. You do not find that in Antipolo early in the 90s. It was the Faith Fundamental Baptist Church that started the 4-story building. Okay? And when we started constructing that building, we did not have the money. But we were able to present a cause, okay, to God's people, not only within the membership of FBC, but all throughout, so that when people learn that this is a glorious cause to support, we did not have a problem with money. In fact, I don't know if I have told you this story, that we were under pressure during that time to build, because DepEd, or ang tawag noon ay, it's not DepEd but DEX, correct. When we applied for a permit to operate, the first issue of DEX was, sabi niya, wala naman kayong building. Why do you have to apply? So ang ginawa ko po, I made a perspective and showed them the perspective. Here is our building. And they said, we don't believe in picture here. We want the real building. And I told them, well, give us a temporary permit, I said, and I promise, by God's grace, that we will have the building. And the reason why we have our celebration this coming Sunday of Thanksgiving is, it is because of that background. Because it was the first Sunday of November when we were under pressure to begin the construction, but we did not have the money. I told the church, okay, this afternoon, let's have the groundbreaking ceremony. Because we were already prepared. We have the entire plan, building plan. I got already the permit, building permit, just waiting for the money. So we did the groundbreaking ceremony without money. At salamat sa Diyos na naniwala naman yung mga tao na, so, okay. And that was Sunday. And then, Friday came. Noong Friday po ay may dumating na malakas na storm in Antipolo. And at the height of the storm, yung phone namin ay nag-ring. And I thought it was an emergency because of the storm. And on the other side, he was trying to congratulate me. I said, why? Because he said, somebody heard about your project and he's giving 2 million.
Amen. Amen.
Just a matter of how many days.